Okay, I'd like to call this special meeting of the Municipal Council to order at 6 p.m. Mr. Withers, would you kindly do a roll call for attendance?
I certainly will. Mr. Blair. Mr. Blair.
Here.
Ms. DeSimone.
Here.
Mr. Conti.
Here.
Mr. Waterman. Mr. Waterman. Vice President Jackson.
Yes, here.
Mr. Delisio.
Present.
Mr. Kobus.
Present.
Ms. Dolan.
Here.
Ms. Reynolds. Ms. Reynolds. I know she's here. I was talking to her a minute ago.
She's here. She's on mute.
Here.
All right.
Here,
Ms.
here,
Holmes. Ms. Holmes. She's not here, correct? And President Cooper.
The president got temporarily disconnected. He'll be right on.
All right. Thank you.
Steve, did you finally hear me?
I did. Thank you, Sarah.
Did you hear me too? This is Ty.
Ty, you're here? Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
So everyone is present except Councilor Holmes.
That is correct.
Okey doke.
President Cooper is working on getting reconnected right now.
All right, I'm reconnected.
All right.
It's the beauty of trying to have put in place protections for your family and social media, and the things kept coming through my phone, and so I had to give the warning call to stop. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So, Steve, did you get me? Yes, I'm here.
I did get you. Yes. Everyone is here but Councilor Holmes.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's what I expected, Councilor Holmes. It's her son's birthday. Happy birthday. If you're home watching or when you watch. If you'd kindly read the notice of tonight's special meeting.
April 30th, 2020. Two members of Municipal Council from Mark J. Cooper, Council President. Councilors, by authority of Article 2, Section 2-7C of the Attleboro Home Rule Charter, I hereby call a special meeting of the Municipal Council as follows. Tuesday, May 5th, 2020. Time 6 p.m. Place, public remote link. Purpose, to discuss any legal matters before the Council. Sincerely, Mark J. Cooper, Council President. CC Mayor Paul Haree.
Thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Jackson. We are suspending the rules this evening. We are going to break for committee. And because we're doing this special Zoom, we're going to suspend the rules for every meeting until further notice. At this time, Mr. Withers, let me just grab my agenda. I apologize. If you could read the notice.
You want me to roll call to suspend the rules?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, we do. Thank you.
Okay. So this is a roll call to suspend the rules. Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Kobus.
Yes.
Mr. Delisio.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. We are now operating under suspended rules, and we will move on to the public hearings. The first public hearing this evening, if you could read the notice, and then we will recognize Dorothy Brissett.
Certainly. This is a continued public hearing relative to the administration's program year 2020 CDBG entitlement budget for the period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, in program year 2020 annual action plan for the period of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021.
Thank you. At this time, I would recognize Dorothy Brissett to give the council the update and run through the CDBG budget and answer any questions that we have. Dot, are you there?
Me?
All right.
Hello?
Hello,
Hello, can you hear me?
I can.
I
We all
hear you,
can.
Dot.
Yep.
Hi. I apologize if,
Ah, there you are.
oh, here we go. I apologize. I'm not very tech savvy at all, as you all know by my PowerPoint presentations every year. Good evening, members of the Municipal Council. Dorothy Brissett, CD Director for the city. I'm pleased to be before you guys tonight to present the CDBG budget. Little unorthodox in our method, but certainly an important process every year, as you know. I'm going to make this as brief as possible, as I know that we're limited on the amount of time, and I'm going to get straight to the facts. Our public needs meeting was held on January 1st. This is a meeting that we hold every year to invite the public to offer up an opinion on the use of our CDBG funds. We received various requests for social service agencies, the continued need to support our housing rehabilitation programs. That is to address areas of code violation to single and multifamily houses, to provide decent and affordable housing units to moderate income families and individuals. Also, the continued support of our any public facility improvements, in particularly the removal of any barriers for persons who are handicapped or elderly individuals. That meeting was held again on the 9th of January. Applications were due on February 7th. On February 18th, HUD actually released the final allocation to the city on how much money the city would be getting in block grant funds. That was really early for us. Typically, we don't know until sometime in April what the amount is. Usually when I'm doing this presentation for council, it's on a estimated amount, but this year it's on an actual dollar amount. So the amount that we were told that we were going to be receiving is $435,295. That is a 3% increase from our current year's budget. So we're receiving a little bit more this year or next year than what we're getting in the current year. Also, due to the pandemic and the COVID virus, on April 2nd, the city received notification that it was eligible to apply for additional block grant funds specifically to be used to address emergency need for those who have been affected by the COVID virus. The amount that we are able to apply for is $256,059. That's about half of our current year's allocation. So in the spirit of maximizing the amount of money that the city can apply for, we did put out another RFP for the use of those COVID funds specifically to social service agencies. We have developed a small business recovery program that will accept applications throughout the year. On April 16th, we submitted a request for proposals. What we were able to do and what we typically can't do with CDBG money is we were able to allocate more funds towards the social service agencies than typical. Now, with our entitlement funds, usually we're capped at 15% of our entitlement to allocate towards social service agencies. But HUD does recognize that as a result of this emergency situation that the entire world is in right now, that social service agencies are typically the agencies that are servicing these people primarily. So HUD has waived that 15% cap and is allowing communities to allocate as much of these COVID funds towards these social service agencies as they seem deemed necessary. So as I mentioned, on April 16th, we did put out an RFP requesting applications from various social service agencies. The deadline was on April 29th. We did receive 8 applications in reference to that particular budget. In reference to our regular entitlement budget, we received 8 applications towards social service agency support, and then 2 applications related to public facility improvements. So Virginia might have emailed to some, emailed to most of you a packet that includes an overall budget of the entitlement funds as well as the CARES Act funds that are available to the city. The top page here is the actual budget, the allocation of $435,294. We anticipate that we're going to be collecting throughout the program year $19,700 in program income. This is loan repayments, loans that we have done to multifamily housing rehabilitation projects and also economic development loans that are being paid back. The CARES Act funds, which is the funds that are specifically allocated to the COVID-19 budget, that's $256,059. We have neighborhood stabilization money. The neighborhood stabilization grant is now closed, and those funds that we have been collecting in program income can now be transferred to the CDBG program to be allocated towards CDBG activities. That's $18,259 for an overall budget of $729,305. So the top part of your budget here, specifically of the CDBG entitled funds only, the maximum amount that we can allocate towards administration is 20%. So we're setting aside $87,000 towards admin. For entitled CDBG funds, we are still capped at 15% of our allocation plus 15% of the program income that we collected in the prior year, which we have noted is approximately $44,000. So the maximum amount that we can allocate towards social service agencies is actually $71,892. We are actually allocating $71,852. For public facility improvements, there's a slight typo there, and I apologize for that. We're setting aside $89,000 for that particular category. And then for the Affordable Housing Initiative, we're putting aside $225,394. That's the delta of the actual just entitlement funds itself. In reference to the CARES Act funds, we are setting aside some money for the administration of the CARES Act funds. That is to just cover our legal fees, to go over our contracts that we need to put together for those particular activities. Also for any of the ad costs that are related to this particular grant and just the sheer administration of this grant. That's $11,000 that we're putting aside for those funds. We're going to be funding the social service agencies at $144,638. And then for our economic development initiative, we've put together the small business recoveries program. We're funding that at $100,000. That's going to provide about 10 businesses with about $10,000 in grants. There are some stipulations to those funds, but that'll give them about $10,000 in grant funds that will help them during this time that some of these businesses are closed or rent, or in some of their utility expenses, or just some hard costs and fixed costs that they typically can't afford due to the fact that their businesses have been closed during this difficult time. So that's our overall budget. During the current period, we anticipate that we're going to be funding right away approximately $49,000 of that $259,000 in CARES Act funds. We expect to expend those funds prior to June 30th. So right away, we expect to get that money out on the streets to our Attleboro residents and to some of our businesses. We expect to fund those projects right away. And then the delta of that CARES Act funds will be expended throughout the program year beginning July 1, along with our entitled funds that we anticipate on receiving on July 1. So that's just a quick preview of what's available to us. HUD has also waived our mandatory 30-day comment period. Typically, with a budget, we are subject to a 30-day comment period to allow the public time to comment on the use of these funds after a budget has been developed. That 30-day comment period has been waived to a minimum of 5 days. Our comment period will begin on May 7th and run through May 16th. So we're going a little bit further than the 5-day comment period. The public will have the ability to comment. Our budget will be available online. And also, I've been answering emails from home and coming into the office 2 to 3 days a week. I can be reached via email or, through phone if anybody wants to meet with me prior to the end of our comment period. I certainly can offer up some time to the public and to council or any of department heads or other social service agencies. We can sit down and discuss the use of these funds, or if anybody wants to offer any written comments, they certainly can offer the written comments and email them to me. Usually we make these budgets available at the library, but the library has since been closed. I have spoken to Chief Hagney, and he did say that I could leave a copy of the budget in his waiting area for the 5-day period. Usually I don't receive a lot of comments on our budget. Typically it's letters of support for the budget, which I did include as part of your packages. But I am available if needed. So if there's any questions, I can entertain any at this time. We did ask HUD for an extension on the submission of our plan because of the late notice on the CARES Act funds, and because we are part of a 14 community consortium that submits our plan at the same time that the city of Taunton does. We did ask that we have the availability to submit our plan as late as June 30th. But I am respectfully requesting that council vote to accept this budget and allow for the mayor to submit the plan sooner rather than later. The sooner we can get a budget submitted to HUD and a plan submitted to HUD for approval, the quicker we can get our agreements in place and start expending these funds as soon as July 1 hits. So thank you.
You're muted.
Oh. Are there any questions from the council for Dorothy at this time?
Mr. Conti's got his hand up, Mark.
Yep.
Council Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dorothy, can you just give me some overall guidelines for the small business stipulations?
Sure. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Again?
We can.
Okay, so for the small recoveries program, it's up to $10,000. The use of the funds can be for rent, accounts payable, any payroll, fixed operational costs. The business does have to be 10 employees or less. The business would have to be established for a minimum of 1 year. Jobs would need to be either retained or created as a result of the use of these funds for a minimum of 1 year. In order to qualify, either the business owner needs to be income eligible, or 51% of the staff needs to be low income. So if it's a 3-person business, then 2 out of the 3 employees need to qualify as low income Attleboro residents. So those are the main criterias.
Thank you, Dorothy.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other?
I just have a comment that what a difference a year makes. Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
and
are
actually,
are we still looking for the same type of approval that we grant every year, allowing the mayor to do his thing? Or do we have time this year that the council can actually vote on this?
Well, the council's voting on an actual budget this year. So
Yep.
we're not waiting for HUD's final approval on
Perfect.
the actual dollar amount. So, you know, I would ask that the council submit a vote as soon as possible, just because the quicker that we get this to HUD, the quicker they'll review it and send the proper documentation that they need to us. So once our action plan gets approved, just to give you an idea, once our action plan gets approved, there is an actual agreement that's executed between HUD and the city. And then there's a 45-day environmental review process that we need to go through. So as soon as we get the approval, we still have another 45 to 60 days that we have to wait before we can actually start spending the money. So, you know, the longer we take to actually submit the plan, that's that much longer into the new fiscal year that we don't have the ability to start spending the money.
So Dorothy, in my committee tonight, I can make a motion to approve the authorization to submit the program year 2020 CDBG budget. Would that be for the total $679,565?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. Then that's what I plan on doing.
So, Councilor Conti, just to be safe, and because we have a meeting on the 19th, in case any councilors wanted to ask any additional questions between now and then, they could reach out to Dorothy. We could close the public hearing tonight and you could vote both on the 19th. But I think doing both tonight without having the time to review all of this information is slightly premature.
Yep, I agree.
And we wouldn't be able to do anything we wouldn't be able to submit our plan until after the comment period anyways. So the earliest we would be able to submit this to HUD wouldn't be until about the 20th anyways. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Todd was before me, President Cooper.
Sure. Vice President Jackson, did you have a question?
I do, but Councilor Cobus was before me. He has hand raised before me.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Cobus.
Thank you. Dot, this is great information. And the only quick question I had was about the accessible chairlift for 95 Pine Street. My question is just, do you plan on selling that property, or I was just wondering what the status is before we invest $70,000 into that property.
Well, it's my understanding that the council took a vote not to sell the building. So if I'm going to take my CDA or CDBG hat off for a minute and put my CDA Inc. hat on, we are in a position, CDA Inc. as a board member, we're in a position now where we have a operating building with a non-operating chairlift. So the city has taken a position with a city-owned building that it needs to fix this chairlift before it continues to incur fees from the state for having a building that's in non-compliant. So as of right now, CDA Inc. has already incurred a $1,500 fee for having a non-operational chairlift. And, you know, it's, as we've mentioned, we as board members have mentioned to council before, we're not really in the financial position to continue to incur that kind of cost. $70,000 is a lot of money for a chairlift, but it is a functioning building. It is an operational building. It is a building that offers a lot of services to our community. And it is certainly, from putting my CDBG hat back on, it is certainly a good use of our city funds to support that project. I, you know, as the CDBG director, am in support of it. So, you know, it's really up to council's discretion as to whether or not they want to support that particular project.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mark,
Yes, Councilor Jackson, and then I think Councilor Blair.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's nice to see you, by the way. I haven't said hi to you
You
this
too,
evening.
thank you.
Thank you. So Dorothy, hi, it's nice to see you as well.
Hi, nice to see you as
Glad you're well.
Thank you as well.
Thank you. So just refresh what you just said, because I'm thinking of a company, a small gym that's in Attleboro that is run by a husband and a wife, and they have 3 little kids. And, you know, that's their only source of income. So can they apply for this? Because they don't have any other employees. So I know how that stands with them, because I want to reach out to them personally.
Sure. So if their business's income does not exceed the HUD's, they have how many children? 3?
3.
So they're a family of 5. So
Under 4.
yeah.
You can understand that.
I've got 2 under 5 and I'm pulling my hair out right now. So they would, if their family's income, and that would include the income of their business, if their family's income does not exceed HUD's income limit for a family of 5, then yes, they would qualify.
Great. Thank you so much. I want to reach out to them.
Okay, perfect.
They're hurting.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. Unfortunately, there are a lot of businesses that are at this time.
Yes.
True. Next is Councilor Blair and then Councilor Waterman.
Hi, Dot.
Hi, how
One
are you, Mr. Blair?
Quick question. I don't know if I completely understand it. That extra money that's coming from HUD and
Yes.
that other grant, could part of that money be used for that stair lift?
It cannot, sir. So that
Okay.
money, that money is specifically used for individuals who are affected by the COVID virus.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Councilor Waterman.
Thank you. Similar to how you explained the criteria for selecting businesses, what is the criteria for selecting the social service agencies?
In reference to the entitlement funds, we actually use a scoring sheet. There are certain criteria. Does the service that the agency provide fall within what the city's 5-year plan indicates that it wants to use the CDBG funds over the next 5 years? So there's a 6 or 8 page scoring sheet that we use. Is the activity eligible? Does that particular social service agency have experience administering CDBG funds? What type of service are they applying for? How many people are they serving? So there are certain categories within that scoring sheet, and then there's an overall score. One could argue that, a particular agency for $3,000 might serve 200 people, but then there's another agency like a child care voucher program where, $3,000 might only serve 10 families. So who's to say that agency that serves 300 people for $3,000 is more beneficial than a voucher program that only serves 10 families? That's not a criteria. It's really where's the need? Do we need more working families? Is the main issue here the fact that there isn't affordable childcare? Possibly. That's where the needs meeting comes into play. One of the biggest issues that we've discussed over the years since I've been here is the lack of availability of legal representation for seniors, or the availability of affordable housing for our quickly aging population here in Attleboro. So since I've became director, that's been one of my goals, is to continue to make sure that in our 5-year plan that we include the availability of affordable housing, or the availability to increase affordable housing through our housing rehab program, or now, possible funds to developers to acquire buildings for the availability of more affordable housing. So that's really how we sort of score which types of applications we're going to fund. It's based off of the feedback that we get from our community. It's based off of the data that we collect when we create our 5-year plan.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're
very much.
welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. Any additional questions for Dorothy at this time?
Mark,
Council Delissio.
thank you. Doc, great job as always.
Thank you.
I was pretty happy when I saw the number, especially given everything that's going on. But were you a little surprised that we were able to get to this point, especially given this point last year? We were talking about the entire program potentially going away from a federal level.
As far as the increase in funding from
Just
last
as
year,
far as the project being here, because I remember last year we talked that, because there was talk at a federal level of doing away with a lot of the CDBG type programs. And we thought that here in Attleboro, that could have been something that impacted us. So, but yeah, certainly the increase as well.
yeah. So, I mean, there's unfortunately, when you work for a grant, there's always talk of your grant being eliminated. In more recent years, there's been more discussion of that. I've been working for the block grant program for almost 20 years, and I've seen as much as a 46% cut to some allocations for the previous community that I worked in. And with the current administration, there certainly has been discussion about eliminating the program completely. And using those funds towards other types of initiatives, not necessarily social service sort of type programs, also including eliminating like the Section 8 voucher program. There's always talk about that. I don't really know if there's a full grasp or understanding of what the ramification of that would be if that were to occur. And I think that maybe once people start thinking about that, that's why we're still here. So I'm certainly grateful that we're able to continue to provide the services that we do here in our city, and for the very little funds that we do. I mean, if you look through these packets, we're getting $700,000 worth of money, but we're serving a substantial number of people for that money. And it's really wonderful to see how much this community comes together for the small amount of money that we get.
Well, I think just given the times that we're in right now, I think this is a more critical year than we've seen in recent history for your program. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Speak up.
None.
Okay. Councilor Conti, at this time, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not, and I wish to see it closed.
Thank you. I'm going to close that public hearing and we'll move on. Thank you, Dorothy, for joining us through the Zoom link. I appreciate your efforts, and Councilor Conti will be in contact, or any others that may have questions.
Thank you so
So
much.
that-
Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank
Be
you.
safe.
Stay healthy.
Thank you. You too.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Thanks so much.
Mr. Withers, would you kindly read the notice of the next public hearing? And you only need to read through the length of the road. You don't need to read the whole notice.
Mr. Withers is on mute.
Let me try again. Public hearing relative to the street acceptance request below pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro to lay out Avalon Drive as a public way, length of 2,537.71 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 25 plus 37.71, and accept said way and any related drainage, water, or sewer facilities or easement. Do you want me to keep going?
Nope.
Okay.
Second.
So at this time, is there anyone? I do see that there are some others on the Zoom meeting. So if there's anybody there that would like to speak on this public hearing in favor, now's the time. Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition?
Real quick, President Cooper, can you just explain what they need to do if they want to be recognized from the audience?
So one or two things, you can oh no, they can't speak because we have them on mute. So, and it's a one participant link. They can chat, they can send a request to chat.
Or they can raise their hand.
They can raise their hand if they're on video.
Well, there's a button to say raise.
There's a little raise your hand button. We could recognize you that way as well. Anyone here to speak in opposition? I don't see anything coming through. Did you see something, Todd?
I did not.
Anyone, neither for nor against? Okay, Council Cobus, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not.
That public hearing is closed. Mr. Withers, would you kindly read the notice of the next public hearing?
I will. This is a public hearing relative to the street acceptance request below pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinance of the city of Attleboro to lay out Excalibur Way as a public way, length of 860.01 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 8+60.01.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak neither for nor against?
Can I just ask a question?
Yes, Vice President Jackson.
Thank you. I just want to ask a question. So, Council Cobus, if you could find out, because I always get phone calls because this is in my ward and not everybody knows where this is. When the developer first came before the planning board, they put in this island as you enter into the cul-de-sac, and the island looks pretty much like a canoe. It's shaped like a canoe, so you have one lane going in to the plat and one lane coming out. So it's a real difficult situation for parents because as you go down, you have to go down quite a way, and you have to go over a bridge, and then you go around a corner, and then the houses begin. It's quite a ways in. So all the parents, when they put their children on the school bus, they have to drive up with their cars, and they have to sit. So picture this, they're coming out of the cul-de-sac, and they sit in the lane, and they wait for the bus to come. But then if there are other people coming out to leave to go to work in the morning, they can't pass them because it's a one-lane roadway. So I don't know if there's a possibility that before we accept this, or if there's some way that we can change. I don't know what was created. I don't know if it was an ordinance or I don't know what happened, but it's just not a good situation for anybody, because even the parents who might be home with little ones, they have golf carts. So they drive the kids up to the bus stop because it's a long way from their homes to get to the bus stop because the bus only stops on Slater Street. So if we could just look into seeing if there's something that might be able to be done either by the developer before we accept the street, or if the city itself can do something about that. Because I know that up until now, the developer has been the one who's been responsible for keeping that area, that canoe area, proper, which they have not, because I've gotten calls several times. And I also know that the developer was not keeping up with plowing, because I've gotten calls. But obviously, our city Public Works Director has taken care of that because he has spoken to the gentleman. And, we did plow, but I think we have also made an agreement with him that he's going to, take care of his portion of that as far as the city, how the city was getting paid. When we paid employees, he had to pay those employees through a different account. So maybe we can work something out, like getting that little canoe area out of there. I think that would be great for all involved. If you could just find out about that, I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely. I will, when we're asked, I'll probably still close the public hearing.
Yes.
But my intent is that we don't vote on it tonight, that we vote on it in 2 weeks. So I'll try to get the answer between now and then.
Thank you, Todd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna add, actually, let me go through if there's anybody. Did I go through all three, neither for nor against? I think I did, and then we were gonna.
Yeah.
So a canoe is a great, an elongated canoe is a great way to describe that entryway of that development, because some of you may remember that the group of neighbors came before the council at a committee of the whole several years back with concerns about the water and the pavement not being done. Several of us went down there. I went and met with several of the neighbors in that neighborhood, and it is quite a ways in from the entryway. You know, looking into it's not a bad idea to see if there is an option, even if when the city assumed the road, if there was something we could do to eliminate that. There was some concern about access, emergency vehicles, if the side was and the entry, if they were coming to pick up their kids and they were on the entry side and the emergency vehicles needed to get around them, it would be some navigation to do it. It wasn't that it couldn't happen. It was just that it was probably more navigation than was necessary, especially when those types of boulevard traffic calming measures coming into a subdivision, you would have expected the development of said subdivision to be closer than to where the end of the canoe is to the homes, which are, as Kate said, are, you know, this is a 2,500-foot road. That's pretty long. I know it goes down and around, but it is a pretty long road to have that type of an entryway to it. So anyway, anything we can find out on that would be great. But I'm also not opposed to closing the public hearing if Council Cobus doesn't see any reason to keep it open.
Yeah, let's close it. Yes,
Okay,
please.
that public hearing is also closed. Mr. Withers, would you kindly read the notice of the next public hearing?
Yes, it's a public hearing relative to the street acceptance request below. Pursuant to section 16-2.2 of the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro to lay out Erica Way as a public way, length of 754.62 feet from STA 0+00 to STA 7+54.62.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Okay, I don't see anybody. Let me just check. Any questions from the council? Council Cobus, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not.
That public hearing is also closed. Mr. Withers, would you kindly read the notice for the next public hearing?
Yes, this is a public hearing relative to the license application to store flammable and combustible liquids and solids from Canaan Realty Group 4 LLC as the new owner of 947 Newport Avenue gas station.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Thank you. So this is merely a transfer of ownership. And I'm happy that they've come to us to let us know they're doing this, and they must have got the message when we had two recently in the last year or so that were quite a period of time lapsed in between the notification of the new owner. So I appreciate that. And at this time, I would recognize Councilor Dolan for any comments and then see if there's any reason to keep this public hearing open.
Yeah, it's just a new owner. I spoke to him yesterday. This is that little gas station by Cardi's. It used to be called Grampy's or something like that. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But yeah, they're already established tanks, everything's status quo, just new owners.
Okay. Before we close, we do have an attendee who is raising their hand, AACS is going to give them access to address the council at this time. I don't know who that was because I can't see it. Is there someone that wanted to address the council on this issue?
His name's posted in a square mark.
Okay, yeah, I
I-
see that.
I can't pronounce the last name, but his name's posted.
Gorlizen.
What?
Oh,
Frank
Frank.
Gorlizen.
Are you on the line, Frank?
Frank is able to speak now if you'd like.
Frank, would you like to address the council at this time on this public hearing? Going once? Going twice. All right.
Mark,
Council
we
Dolan.
now have Jeff O'Gara who'd like to address the council.
Okay. Mr. O'Gara, I think you're still muted.
Are you able to
You're
hear
off
me
mute
now?
I can, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I live across the street and I just want to make sure that there are not going to be any changes to anything I saw for the design, what they were approved for as far as the hours of operation. Is it just exactly as it was previously approved?
That's right. At this time, it's for what is and was originally approved under the former ownership.
Okay, then just wanted to make sure there were no changes.
Not that we've been made aware of.
Okay,
Yes.
then that's my only question.
Yeah, okay. Anything else? Feel free to reach out to us.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else on the line that would like to address the council at this time on this public hearing? I don't see anybody else raising their hand. Councilor Dolan, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. This public hearing is also closed, and that is the final public hearing for this evening. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to recess for committee meetings.
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Jackson. This requires a roll call vote, and I believe we'll begin with Councilor Blair.
Yes, Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. We are recessed at 6:47. We can go right into committee meetings.
Mr. President, before we do that, can we address an issue?
Yes, sir.
We had a Frank Korosinski who was struggling, I think, with the remote button and may have wanted to make comment on that last public hearing. If he were to submit something in writing, could we accept it?
I think given the circumstance, we could.
Okay. I'd hate to see him locked out. I don't know if he's for or against, or neither for or against, but he's here and he's trying to make an effort to communicate with us, and I can speak firsthand on how frustrating that can be. So I'd like to show a little sympathy, if we could, a little cordial excuse for him to comment, if he would.
Agreed.
Thank you.
We're under emergency measures, so it doesn't matter,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I would accept it and
Yeah.
let the chips fall where they may at this point.
Sunshine and roses.
Yep.
Are
It's
we
the
going
times
right-
we're in.
are we
Councilor
going
Blair,
right-
you're up.
Public Safety Emergency Management Committee is canceled. Meeting is canceled this evening.
Transportation and traffic is canceled for this evening, please.
Richard,
I'd like to call the Committee on Capital Improvements and City Development to order at 6:50. Sitting on this committee are Councilor Dolan and Councilor Waterman. I have 3 motions to bring before you this evening. From the docket of April 21st, 2020, I entertain a motion to approve the expending the Urban Agenda Grant for the Department of Housing and Community Development in the amount of $50,000, and also approve the expending of any future grant amendments. This grant is to be used towards the launch of the downtown business revitalization project.
Second.
Was that Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I suspect that one of the 3 people that are on the chat button is Catherine Fierick. I've communicated with her several times this week. If she's there, I'm going to try to give her an opportunity to speak up and address the committee if she's on board. And not seeing her.
She is, Richard, she is there, but I think the 2 things, which certainly she could address the committee around the $50,000 grant, but we want to make sure we don't confuse the things that are subject to the public hearing, which is the next item on your minutes. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on the line in the sand between what requires a public hearing and what does not.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm confused on that as well.
So let me help everybody understand.
Please.
The expending the grant of $50,000 is not subject to a public hearing. So we can vote through this committee and then before the full council to accept the $50,000 grant from the Department of Housing and Community Development for this downtown business revitalization project. What we cannot vote this evening is the waiving the fees related to the 5 businesses selected through that project, waiving of the fees for the inspection and the fire inspection and plan reviews. We cannot vote on that until we have a public hearing, because we are waiving the fees associated with granting the grant. Then there is a third motion to transfer $1,100 within the mayor's office from reserve fund for the online services for that downtown revitalization program, which tonight you could vote. Through our email exchange, Councilor Conti, with the Economic Development Director, she was hoping that the council would vote the $50,000 grant because there is a time associated with that grant that she wanted to be able to exercise. So if there's anything I went off the rails, she can clarify for us.
So, Mr. President, since a committee chairman can ask anyone to address the committee at any time, not to be confused with a public hearing, can I ask Community Development Director Catherine Fierick to explain the grant to my committee members and to the councilors?
You certainly can, but she's the Economic Development Director.
Sorry. It's been a long day.
I understand.
So at this time, I would like to ask Catherine Fierick to take the floor and give us a overview of the grant.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I do apologize because you're probably going to hear a baby crying in the background. This is when he loves to scream his guts out for about 2 hours every night at least. So when we sought the Urban Agenda Grant, this is a pretty graduated program for entrepreneurs that are looking to start a business. What we want to do is provide the grants, yes, but more importantly, the social services that wrap around those grants to really help those businesses become successful. It's going to take several months until we get to the point where we're ready to get the grants out, and that has to be done by the end of the year. Before that time, we need to conduct training sessions, and we may need to do so in Spanish because one of the requirements of the program is to make sure that you're reaching entrepreneurs that may be more difficult to reach. So, you know, we may have to do bilingual training, but there will at least be 2 training sessions that take place over the summer. We're then going to have a period of time when these entrepreneurs are creating their business plans, and they will be reviewed by the SBDC and SCORE. So we want to give several weeks to the entrepreneurs to develop the plans. We want to give several weeks to give them time to get those reviewed. Finally, we want to judge those plans. The whole committee gets together in the autumn, and we're going to discuss who gets the $20,000 grant, who gets the 2 $10,000 grants, who gets the 2 $5,000 grants. After that, we have to draw up the grant agreements and make sure that they know that the requirement is you have to locate within downtown Attleboro, within, you know, roughly the limits of our TDI district, and you have to you know, participate in the mentorship component that follows after it. So in order to meet those timelines, I have requested that there be the approval of grant funds up front so that I can start developing the website and of course the advertising budget, because what's important here, especially since the crisis hit, I've continued to get a couple of inquiries regarding the program and levels of interest from entrepreneurs of various stages of experience. But one thing that has happened is that those inquiries have slowed. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to cast a wider net to make sure that we're getting really good quality business concepts into this program. They do not have to be Attleboro residents, but they do have to locate their business in downtown Attleboro. So the advertising expenses are going to help us reach that wider audience.
Okay.
So Catherine, we've been communicating back and forth all week, and I had some questions that I expected from councilors. And so the program is for 5 potential businesses to be able to come into the city. It takes about 8 to 9 months for this process to reach fruition. And you're going to be holding a public hearing to see whether or not we can waive some fees to help these businesses out. But there's also partnering with other organizations. SCORE is the small business development, small business
mentor. They're like a mentorship network.
Right, and then Harbor One is involved as well.
Yes, Harbor One U is our partner that's conducting all the training.
Right. So part of your program on this, you asked for $58,000, but you only got $50,000. And that kind of leads to the other motion that's coming down the pike, which we will talk about then. Do you I have nothing else. Does anyone else have any questions for Catherine?
No, thank you,
Catherine.
Okay, thank you. Well, the motion's in order. I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 Well, it passes unanimously. From the docket of April 21st, 2020, I entertain a motion to transfer $1,130 from account 11241-000-578300 citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 1121000-534030 mayor online services for promotional funds in relation to downtown business revitalization program.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Waterman. So, Catherine, we talked about this as well, and would you care to expound on what you're going to be doing with this money?
Sure. Of course, we can rely on certain partners to convey the news. Of course, there are informal channels on social media. Hopefully, the newspaper will be interested enough to write an article on this. But one area that I would like to reach is radio waves, especially these days with a lot of people working from home, either streaming or listening to a radio station. There's an awful lot of uptick in the number of listeners. So I asked around, and I narrowed in on two different sources, one being a more news talk type of a station, and the other one being a broad spectrum of music stations. So one is NPR, and they will write the ad for us and do everything. It's kind of a turnkey package. And the other one is Pro FM. Basically, it's that family of companies, Cumulus FM. And then that one is going to be for streaming. So it goes across all of the different channels. It doesn't matter if you're listening to pop or if you're listening to hip hop or if you're listening to talk radio or sports. It will have access to all those markets in one. So those were the two that I ultimately ended up deciding to submit to the council, because the main point of this is getting out the word as far as we can. You know, a baker's not going to be necessarily the most sophisticated business person yet. Hopefully they will become so. But if you have a good idea and you've got the passion to follow it through, and you're able to be underwritten for a business loan for the complement of what we're not going to give in grants, obviously you can't start a business for $5,000 to $20,000. Then, you know, we're just trying to reach the people who have those types of attributes that you can build a really successful entrepreneurial enterprise on.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Catherine?
Yes.
Councilor Jackson.
And it's actually not a question. So listening to you, Catherine, I've grown up here my whole entire life, and the downtown Attleboro is like totally different from when I was a child. It's exciting. It's exciting. And I don't understand everything that you know, the streaming and all that. I just learning all that right now. And it's kind of fun. It's really kind of fun. As I'm learning it, it's really kind of cool. So it's exciting to see that that's how our city is developing. So thanks.
It's exciting for me too. I've seen these types of business plan competitions play out from communities of 3,000 people up to the west side of Columbus, Ohio, which is the 15th largest city in the US. And every community that they've been launched in, they've had some success, some very real tangible success. But one thing that I've seen that's been lacking is the continuation of programming for the businesses. It's kind of maybe training, maybe business plan review, here's your money and go. And one of the really unique attributes that I think that this particular program has is that we have help on the backside. We have help from SCORE in terms of one-on-one mentorships for that critical first year of operations. And we have a year's membership with the United Regional Chamber of Commerce. So all the resources, training, networking that comes along with that. So really what we're trying to do isn't just let's fill vacant storefronts. What we're trying to do is say, all right, let's invest in people and build real wealth and real expertise within them. So that's what's exciting to me is just having that follow through instead of just giving people a blank check and saying, all right, see you, good luck.
Well, I might add that the city of Attleboro has never tried this in the past, and without the promotional dollars, no one's ever going to hear about it. So I think that lays to the purpose of the motion for the $1,130.
I say bring it on.
Councilor Waterman, Chair recognizes Councilor Waterman.
Catherine, I think this is a great idea. I commend you on it. What is the role? Can you say a little bit more about the role the Harbor One is playing?
Absolutely. Harbor One has easily one of the best business training programs that I've seen. They conduct these all the time with or without partners. So if you have an idea for a business, and a lot of these trainings are free, you can just show up and you can learn what does it take to start a business. And one of the important things that comes out of that is a lot of people who have good ideas decide, oh my gosh, this is too much work. I don't want anything to do with this. And that's important and that's good. So Harbor One U, with all their training and expertise for the last decade plus, they offered to provide their services to us at no charge. They're going to be hiring their premier trainer to conduct these workshops for our entrepreneurs as part of this program. We have a tremendous deal of buy-in from all of our partners.
Thank you. Sounds great.
Does anyone else have any questions for Catherine? Seeing none, the motion's in order. I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. I think that concludes the business that I have to bring before you this evening. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Waterman. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I declare the Capital Improvement City Development Committee adjourned at 7:04. Thank you.
Personnel and Human Services Committee does not have any business tonight. We'll meet at the next appropriate time.
I call the Public Works, yes. I call the Public Works Committee to order at 7:06 PM. And I have a few things to discuss with you all this evening. From the docket of May 5th, 2020, I entertain a motion to appropriate $61,786 from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 14201-000-538053 public works trench repairs to make repairs to roadways and sidewalks due to water main breaks and other needed patchwork.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. So there have been, and I'm sure all of us have seen it, but many, many breaks this season in particular across the city. In account, there are 36 breaks that they are ready to repair and fix, and this is what this funding is going to go towards. I also have a list of the streets that things are going to happen on, so I'm going to put it on my Facebook page, which I usually don't post on, but I've been doing it lately just because I'm home. So I'll put all the streets that are being repaired and the trenches are being taken care of. So if anyone has any questions, please reach out. Thank you. Councilor Conti.
Yes, Councilor Jackson, I like the idea of you putting the list on your Facebook page, but not everybody's a friend with you, and so not everybody can see that. Can we get that listed on the city website?
Of course we can. And how come nobody's not a friend of mine?
Don't know.
I thought I was just like a public page. I think I am.
Sometimes I feel that way.
No, but I really am a public page. Anybody can look at me. There's no secrets.
So we can put that on the city website, because I think that's more likely where people would go look to find it.
Absolutely, and I'll do that. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Secondly, I entertain a motion to transfer $6,765 from account 1630-1000-512020 recreational seasonal to 1630-1000-56012 recreation supplies, recreation grounds for supplies needed to complete ongoing projects.
Second.
Thank you very much, Councilor Dolan. So they're not doing the same things over at Recreation now that they normally would be doing at this time of the season, obviously, with everything closed at this point, but they're able to get other projects done. So Superintendent Walsh is looking to finish up all the rest of the projects going on. And I think I had posted on my Facebook page, and he had also posted on the recreational page, that Johnson Hewitt is closed tomorrow and Thursday because they're doing the seal coating, and they're also doing some things over at Finberg Field just to finish up and get everything ready. But they're keeping everything green and healthy. And when it's time to get up and running, it still looks good. We're not letting it go. And, you know, like next year, we're not going to have to say, hey, we need extra money because last year we had the COVID and we didn't take care of it. But they're staying on top of everything that they normally would have. Any comments? Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. All right. Moving on. I entertain a motion to transfer $12,000 from account 60000-578300 wastewater enterprise fund, reserve fund for transfer to account 6000-521020 wastewater enterprise fund, lights and power, an additional transfer of $10,000 from account 6000-553130 wastewater enterprise fund chemicals to account 6000-521020 wastewater enterprise fund lights and power to fund the wastewater department lights and power for the remainder of fiscal year 2020.
Second.
Thank you very much, Councilor Dolan. So we've cut lights and power in so many departments in the last few years. We shouldn't do that because we always know energy goes up. And this is just to pay the bills. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. Anybody opposed?
Sorry, no, I'm in favor. I didn't realize I was muted. Sorry.
That's quite all right. Kathleen, I was wondering where you were at.
Sorry, Kate. I've been saying aye and I didn't even.
I
didn't
know,
I
it's
was
just like
muted.
playing this game of, yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. I entertain a motion to transfer $70,000 from account 112410000-578300 citywide reserve fund for transfer to account 112410000-521030 citywide street lights in order to satisfy the balances of invoices from expenditures in fiscal year 2020. The amount requested is consistent with transfers made in previous fiscal years.
Second.
Thank you. Motion speaks for itself. Any comments, questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, motion carries. It's funny, I'm waiting for like facial expressions. That's all I want. From the docket of May 5th, 2020, I entertain a motion to approve the petition for Massachusetts Electric and Verizon New England to replace and relocate a broken pole at 14 Walnut Street, including lighting and riser.
Second.
Oh my gosh. I love to see a pole that's broken being replaced. Like they're all over the city. They're like, there's so many broken poles that don't get replaced fast enough. It drives me crazy. So I was like, so happy. This does not require a public hearing because it's the same pole. We're just replacing it. We're not moving it. It's just getting replaced because it is broken. But it does drive me absolutely nuts. And you know what else? But National Grid drives me nuts because it takes an act of Congress to get a light put up on a street, and it drives me nuts. That's like my number one pet peeve. I've been trying to get a light up on Steer Street forever and ever and ever. Right on the corner where they just put all the new houses down on, right on the very big corner. And they just put a whole new group of houses in there. I think it was Caponegro that put them in there. Yeah. They still don't have any lights in there. It's driving me crazy. I've been working with Mike Tyler, who's been absolutely a doll to help try and get it going. But it really does take an act of Congress to get National Grid moving. We got to work that out. We got to come up with some powers, make them work faster and better. Anyways, any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. That concludes the business for me this evening. And I conclude my committee at 7:15.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Ugh, you guys are the best. Jay, you're next.
I would like to call budget appropriations to order at 7:15. I have two pieces of business. From the docket of May 5th, 2020, I move to transfer 5,500 from account 1124100-578,300 citywide reserve fund for transfer to the following: 3,500 to account 1292100-513022 animal control callback overtime, 2,000 to account 1292100-513100 animal control holiday sick vacation overtime.
Second.
Thank you, Todd. This is just a transfer to get Superintendent Corsi through the end of fiscal 2020. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. From the docket of May 5th, 2020, I move to appropriate $400,000 from account 1000-359 000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 11241-000-59600 citywide stabilization fund. The funds are accrued interest from bonds taken for the high school project will be put in the stabilization fund for future use on the high school project.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Kovas. So long and short of it, this is interest that has been borrowed, interest on bonds that have already been borrowed from the school project. So specifically, these funds, this $400,000 is going to go from free cash to the stabilization account, where they're going to be set aside for use for movement of the CTE programs from the old school into the new school, as well as mitigating the amount of asbestos from the construction and the demolition of the old school to protect the neighbors from any asbestos particles that could get in the air. Do we have any questions or concerns on this? Councilor Kovas.
And the one thing I would just ask is that as we get towards budget season and we're reviewing the budget, I know there's a lot of shortfalls this year. And between the two of us, if we could just, I know we'll likely be digging into those different funds. If we could just make sure that we leave that $400,000 alone.
Yeah, Todd, thank you for that. That was part of my ending comments as well, similar. But yeah, I think this budget's going to this budget is going to prove to be a little bit of a challenge on a couple different levels. I think we're going to have to really sharpen our pencils in terms of spending. And that being said, things that are earmarked for certain projects, such as this one, is something that we need to make sure that we're paying attention to, because this is a big one. This is part of the 1.2 million that was taken from the stabilization account to help bring down the overall payment of the school project. So this is something that's quite important. Councilor Conti.
So I'm all in favor of putting it into the stabilization account. We can take it out of there with a 2/3 vote from the council at any time. And it's a good place to use it where it won't get taken with something else. So I think it's a good move. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Councilor. I think it's the right move. It's the right thing to do, especially for this project, especially with asbestos and the importance of the CTE program. So any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Aye.
Real quick before I adjourn, I just want to thank City of Attleboro for their generosity. Again, this past weekend, we did our second drive-through food drive, and it was overwhelming, the generosity and the stories of support that we heard from people. We raised close to an additional $2,000 in cash donations and gift cards. We ran out of room for food, where to put everything. So we had people coming up. We heard some stories that'll really tug on your heartstrings. We were able to support St. Teresa's, St. Joseph's Food Cellar, the Murray Universalist Church Food Pantry, as well as Hebron Food Pantry. So thank you to all that came out to help and support. Certainly appreciate it. And I do just want to wish my wife, Amy, a happy 19th wedding anniversary. So she hasn't changed the locks yet, so I'm doing something right somewhere. So that being said, I'd like to call for an adjournment at 7:20.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:20.
Call the Zoning and Land Use Committee to order at 7:20. We have one piece of business on the to take care of tonight. So from the docket of May 5th, 2020, I entertain a motion that the city accept a land donation of 4 parcels located on the paper streets known as Ash Street and Pine Street, plat 45, lots 126 through 129, from John W. Hamill and Harvey R. Hamill. The subject property contains a land area of 22,500 square feet and is zoned general residence A. Jay, you were muted.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. So this matter, it's the recommendation of Gary Erasian that we accept this property. Their taxes have been paid up through the end of fiscal year 2020. And for those not aware of roughly where this is located, if you're, it's sort of off of South Main Street. If you're headed down South Main Street towards Pittsburgh, towards the Dunkin' Donuts there and the dollar store, there's on the left, there's a couple side streets and it's between sort of South Main and Thatcher Elementary School there, behind Anawan Glass and Mirror Company. It's in a floodplain. It's not buildable. So the recommendation of Gary Erasian is that we should accept it. I believe that we should as well. So that concludes my comments. Any comments from anybody else? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. That concludes the business for the Zoning and Land Use Committee. Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned at 7:22.
License committee is canceled this evening.
I'd like to call the City Property and Claims Committee to order at 7:22. Members present are myself and Councilor Blair. From the docket of May 5th, 2020, I entertain a motion to accept the generous donation of $300 in Stop and Shop gift cards to the Council on Aging from the Holiday Spirit Committee.
Second.
Thank you, Peter. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any comments, questions? Okay, that motion passes. From the docket of May 5th, 2020, I entertain a motion to approve a 36-month lease agreement between Quadient and the City of Attleboro for 1 postage machine and 1 folding machine in accordance with Section 5-8 lease purchase agreement of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro.
Second.
Thank you, Peter. Again, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We usually do this kind of lease agreement. So are there any questions, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And that motion passes. That is all the City Property and Claims Committee has this evening. So I would like to ask for an adjournment at 7:23.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you.
On behalf of Councilor Holmes, who is not here tonight, I'd like to cancel ordinances, elections, and legislative matters committee meeting.
Second. Oh, sorry, that's not me.
No second needed. I think that's it.
Second.
All right. We will. Is Mr. Withers, are you back on?
Councilor
I
Conti
am.
canceled his special committee.
Oh,
We
I didn't go
made the
that far.
motion in our last committee meeting to introduce the rules and procedures last week. So that's already been done.
But you're canceling tonight, correct?
Yeah, never should have been on the agenda. I'm canceling tonight.
Thank
Sorry.
you so much. Yep.
I'll formally cancel the subcommittee on rules and procedures for tonight.
Thank you. I can't. Is Mr. Withers back on?
I am back.
All right.
I'm ready.
He's not.
Hello?
Hello. We're ready for you. We're going to call the council back to order at 7:24. At this time, we'll go on to the mayor's communication.
All righty. May 5th, 2020, dear municipal councilors, I respectfully submit for confirmation by your honorable body the appointment of Jeremy Stoll, 11 Edenfield Ave, Watertown, Mass. 02472, to fill an unexpired term of Director of Budget and Administration. Excuse me. Term to expire February 2023. Mr. Stoll was offered employment with the City of Attleboro on April 28th, 2020, under a temporary 90-day appointment in accordance with Section 3.3B of the Attleboro Home Rule Charter. Resumes in your packets. Is that going to go
Personnel and Human Services Committee, please.
All right. In order to properly budget and account for wages earned through June 30th, it is necessary to fund the accrued payroll, which historically has been referred to as a 53rd pay week. Therefore, in order to provide sufficient funding for the accrued payroll, I respectfully request your honorable body transfer $78,792.65 from account citywide reserved for compensation 53rd week to accounts as follows. $2,977.58 to account auditor salary, $1,369.07 to account treasurer salary, $2,681.39 to account planning salary, $1,640 to account clerk salary, $65,000 to account fire salary, $974.61 to account veteran salary, $4,150 to account recreation salary. In addition, I hereby request your honorable body to transfer $16,934.27 from account wastewater enterprise fund reserved for 53rd week to account wastewater enterprise fund salaries.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
All right, and finally, I respectfully submit for confirmation by your honorable body the following reappointment for the position and for the term as indicated. His name is Ian Daly for constable. The term is 1 year, expires February 2021.
Personnel and Human Services Committee, please.
Sincerely, Paul Haru, Mayor.
Thank you. There are no other communications this evening. We'll go right on into committee reports and start with Council Blair.
Public Safety Emergency Management has no business this evening, but would request a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, President Cooper. Transportation and Traffic has no business to report this evening, and I would request a meeting at the next available date. However, if I may make an announcement, Councilor Dolan and I have been reaching out to the Attleboro Y to organize a blood drive, kind of going off some of the good work done by Councilor Kovas and Councilor Delicio and former Councilor Parika with the food drive. So the City Council and the Attleboro Y will be co-hosting a blood drive on July 8th from 1 to 6 p.m. and all councilors are welcome to volunteer and or donate their blood at that event.
Thank you.
Thank you, President Cooper.
Councilor Conti.
Rick, you're muted.
Rick, you're muted.
I kind of like it.
I'm just a techno weenie wannabe. Reporting. Thank you, Mr. President. Reporting
You're
for
welcome.
Capital Improvements and City Development Committee from the docket of April 21st, 2020. I move to approve the expending the Urban Agenda Grant from the Department of Housing and Community Development, also known as DHCD, in the amount of $50,000 and also approve the expending of any future grant amendments. This grant may be used toward the launch of the Downtown Business Revitalization Project.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments, Councilor Conti?
No, we just went through this. Just skipping back on the internet, you'll find the entire discussion. I highly encourage my councilors to support this motion.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, a roll call. Anything? Did I hear somebody? I guess not. Any additional? This requires a roll call vote, and I believe we'll begin with Council Reynolds.
Yes, Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Cobus. Mr. Cobus. He's muted.
Sorry, yes.
Mr. DeLisio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson. She's muted. Vice President Jackson. I can see her, but I can't.
I'm laughing at everybody else who's muted. Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President. From the docket of April 21st, 2020, I move to transfer $1,130 from account 11241000-57830 Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to the account 11211000-534030 Mayor Online Services for promotional funds in relation to the Downtown Business Revitalization Program.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments, Council Conti?
Yes, Mr. President. I think that this program, being the first time it's ever been tried in the history of Attleboro, shows a nice creative side to how we may populate the downtown. And while I know the budget is tight, and this is over $1,000, the program can't be successful if nobody hears about it. It also occurs to me that in this time when there has been a lot of cuts in advertising budgets, that the city of Attleboro's message will be well delivered and stand out in the formats that it's going to be advertised in. Catherine and I discussed at length her choice of medium, and I threw her some good questions and she threw back some good answers. And as a result, I am encouraging my fellow councils to support this measure, and that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any additional comments from the council?
Mm-hmm. Todd.
Yes.
Council Calvis.
So probably sort of against my better judgment, I am supportive of this. It is only $1,000, but moving forward until we get the budget and have figured out what we're going to do with fiscal year 21, I'll be sort of digging my heels and do not want to support any of these sort of discretionary sort of things. I am very supportive of this, very supportive of the work that Catherine's doing. But I really struggled with this because I know how difficult it's going to be to avoid layoffs or to try to avoid layoffs for fiscal year 21. And so this was a tough one, but I wanted to say publicly that moving forward, anything that sort of I view as more discretionary, I'm going to push to try to get that included in the fiscal year 21 budget as opposed to approving it now.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Council Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I concur with Councilor Cobus on the need to be particularly judicious on expenditures. However, this is an investment. Any business that survives this program and develops a business will be taxed by the assessor, and those tax income will replenish the funds that are being expended if one of them succeeds. Much better than an empty storefront. And that concludes my comments.
Any additional comments?
Mark?
Yes.
Thank you. So I'm kind of in the middle of both Richard and Todd here, right? So I think it's because of this piece of business that I'm going to support it, but I think we all really need to be aware and not to infer that we're not, but we need to really listen and watch. And when Deb Gould sends out one of her memos, we need to read to see what's going on. I think we're in for a really tough couple weeks, couple months, and we really need to be questioning. And just to get it out there, when we're questioning an expenditure, we're not questioning who it came down from. We're not questioning where it's going. We're questioning simply, is this a need or a nice to have? I think this is exactly an investment where you need to spend a little bit of money to make some money. I think we've all said that we want that downtown booming again, and we know what downtown will bring to the benefits it will reap. I think that what downtown is now, to Kate's point earlier, isn't what downtown was before. So this kind of outside the box thinking is something that we need, and we need to continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments?
Just me.
Council Jackson.
Thank you. Promote, promote, promote. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Like in a lot of your businesses, I don't know, but you promote Attleboro. So she's doing that, and I'm happy that we're doing that. Yes, it's $1,000, but I'm happy as long as it happens. Just promote us. Get us on the map. I want us to be sold as a wonderful community because we really are. We have a lot to offer. Period.
Thank you. Thank you. Any additional questions, comments? Seeing none, roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Mr. DeSimone,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
That concludes the business that the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee has to bring before the council this evening. We look forward to a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Vice President Jackson. Oh, wait a minute. Councilor Waterman.
Well, Personnel and Human Services has no business tonight. We'll meet at the next appropriate time.
Thank you.
you.
Vice President Jackson.
Thank you ever so much. Reporting for the Public Works Committee from the docket of May 5th, 2020, I entertain a motion to appropriate $61,786 from account undesignated fund balance general government to account Public Works trench repairs account to make repairs to roadways and sidewalks due to water main breaks and other needed patchwork. Hey, guys, I need a second.
Somebody. Thank you.
Oh, goodness.
Motion's in order. Councilor Jackson.
I just reported on this like a moment ago. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments from the council? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Reynolds.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Cobus, Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of May 5th, 2020, I entertain a motion to transfer $6,765 from the recreational seasonal account to the recreational supplies recreational ground account for supplies needed to complete ongoing projects.
Second.
Thank you very much, Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments?
None for me. Thank you. I just reported on this a moment ago again.
Thank you. Roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Conti,
No.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
What?
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
9 yeas, 1 nay.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm questioning Councilor Conti, but I'll deal with that tomorrow. From the docket of May 5th, 2020, I entertain a motion to transfer $12,000 from the wastewater enterprise fund reserve fund transfer account to the wastewater enterprise fund lights and power account, an additional transfer of $10,000 from the wastewater enterprise fund chemicals account to the wastewater enterprise fund lights and power account to fund the wastewater department lights and power for the remainder of fiscal year 2020.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan.
I think it was Delicio.
Oh, Delicio,
Same
I
thing, Jay, same
apologize.
thing.
No, it's not the same thing.
It's a D.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You
Nope.
sound-
No
Any
comments.
additional questions or comments?
None.
Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Council Reynolds.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. I entertain a motion to transfer $70,000 from the citywide reserve fund for transfer to account citywide streetlights account in order to satisfy the balances of invoices from expenditures from fiscal year 2020. The amount requested is consistent with transfers made in previous fiscal years.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Delicio.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional questions or comments?
No, yes, one thing. Can you believe how much electricity costs? Like, it's ridiculous. It really is, but we have to pay it, and that's it.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call
Mr.
vote will
Conti,
begin
Mr.
with
Conti.
Mr.
Oh,
President.
Council Conti.
So the motion states that this is amount consistent with transfers made in previous fiscal years, and that means it's a budget shortfall. That this amount of money should have been budgeted, and
Should have been.
obviously it wasn't, and now it's a request to expend. And I don't see anything in the backup to the communication explaining why this. I don't see the electricity rate increase. So I'm stating my questions, and that concludes my comments.
Oh, please, let me follow up, please, Mr. President. Please, please, please.
Sure.
Oh.
Council Jackson.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm sorry to jump ahead. But last year when Deb Gould was before us, you cut electrical services. We cut their budgets. And Deb Gould actually said to us, like, that's one line item you shouldn't cut because it's always going up and up and up. And she said that, and we have that. Yeah, we did. We cut in so many departments, and we have that on record that we cut it. And that's one, yeah, I see Sarah going crazy. But we cut it, and we shouldn't cut it because yes, it's gone up and up and up and up and up. I mean, you must see it in your own home.
Yeah, I think what we, and then I'll recognize Council Reynolds. I think she was next. Who I
No,
saw.
I didn't raise my hand, Mark.
Oh, okay. It was Council Delicio. But before that, I'll just say we did. And what this says is it's consistent with transfers made in previous fiscal years. So if we have a year-over-year fiscal issue with power, lights and power, we should increase it in the budget. I think is what Council Conti was trying to get
That's
at.
exactly my point.
But you cut it.
I forgot that I cut it.
Yeah, you did. So just saying.
I'm famous for
Hello.
that.
Any additional questions? I know Councilor Delicio had a comment.
Yeah, so I believe, I want to say it was budgeted. We can go back and find out because the discussion, I don't believe it was actually cut. I know there was discussion about cutting it. And to Vice President Jackson's point, Deb was like, this is the one thing you really couldn't cut to that point. But again, we can't it's a moving target every year. And that's really what part of this is. I do think that maybe if that's the case, we look at different options, but I think there's more to it than just it was budgeted, it wasn't budgeted. But we can certainly find out and talk about it in a couple of weeks when we're talking about budget.
Agreed. I don't disagree with your comments, Councilor Delicio, except that it says the amount requested is consistent with transfers made in previous fiscal years. So we're not talking $7,000, we're talking $70,000, which is consistent with previous years. So we may need to just make sure we hone in on that a little bit if we have enough money in those streetlight accounts citywide. Any additional questions or comments?
No.
Seeing
Thank
none.
you, Councilor Conti.
We'll
You
begin
got
with,
it.
Councilor Blair.
Excuse me?
We'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. I have one more item this evening. From the docket of May 5th, 2020, I entertain a motion to approve the petition from Massachusetts Electric and Verizon New England to replace and relocate a broken pole at 14 Walnut Street, including light and riser.
Second.
Thank you very much, Councilor Delicio.
Any additional questions or comments?
No, none.
Roll call vote will begin with Councilor Reynolds.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you.
Hey.
Motion passes.
Kate, may I make a comment in your committee before you close it?
No.
No,
No?
the vote's already gone on. Call me.
I just wanted to thank, you made a comment earlier that Dennis Walsh's committee, his department, let people know that Dennis has been starting work at 7 o'clock in the morning with a rake, with a shovel. He's out there working. So I agree with you, giving them that extra money for supply.
Thank you. Any additional? No, there's no additional.
No, I
You're
have to
done.
close my meeting.
Yes.
That concludes the business for the Public Works Committee. And I would ask for a committee meeting at the appropriate time next week. Thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you. Mr. Delicio.
Thank you, President Cooper. From the docket of May 5th, 2020, I move to transfer $5,500 from account citywide reserve fund for transfer to the following: $3,500 to animal control callback overtime, $2,000 animal control holiday sick vacation overtime.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments or questions?
I have none.
Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Finally, from the docket of May 5th, 2020, I move to appropriate $400,000 from account undesignated fund balance, free cash general government to account citywide stabilization fund. The funds are accrued interest from bonds taken for the high school project and will be put in the stabilization fund for future use on the high school project.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional questions or comments?
I have none.
Any from the council? Roll call vote will begin with Councilor Reynolds.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to all the first responders and healthcare professionals out there. Keep going. I know it's been a long road. We appreciate what you're doing. And I would like to call for a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Counselor Dolan.
License committee is canceled this evening, and I'd like to call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time, please.
Thank you. Counselor Reynolds.
Thank you. Reporting for City Property and Claims Committee from the docket of May 5th, 2020. I move to accept the generous donation of $300 in Stop and Shop gift cards to the Council on Aging from the Holiday Spirit Committee.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments?
No, I do not.
A roll call vote will begin. Any from the council? Hearing none, we'll begin with roll call vote will begin with Counselor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of May 5th, 2020, I move to approve a 36-month lease agreement between Quadient and the City of Attleboro for one postage machine and one folding machine in accordance with Section 5-8 lease purchase agreement of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments or questions?
No, I do not.
Thank you. A roll call vote will begin with Counselor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
That is all the business City Property and Claims Committee has this evening, but I would like to call a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. And Counselor Cobus, my apologies. I'll go backwards to you.
Zoning and land use doesn't have a business tonight, but I call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time. Thank you.
Thank you. And Counselor DeSimone for ordinances, elections, and legislative matters.
Yes, President Cooper, there is no business to report. We would call for a meeting at the next available time, please.
Thank you. There is no old business. There is no new business. At this time, I would entertain a roll call vote to. Oh, Counselor
Mr. President?
Conti, yes, sir.
The Special Committee on Rules and Procedures has a motion for the floor.
Don't think you do.
I don't have it.
I don't either. I don't
But we
think you
do.
do, Richard. It didn't come out of your committee.
It did come out of my committee at the last meeting.
No, that was new business.
Yeah, that
Oh.
was new business.
Sorry.
That's
My
why she
mistake.
had it on.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why she had it on for your committee meeting minutes tonight. And I thought there was a reason why you didn't want to do it that you didn't necessarily want to mention. So I moved on.
My apologies.
Thank you. We can catch up on the 19th. Anything else before I
Yes.
entertain the roll call vote? Counselor Jackson.
Thank you. I just want to say hi to everybody because we haven't really got to say hi to each other. And I'm glad everybody's healthy and I hope your families are doing well. And, you know, we kind of just like connect for a second. We have our meeting and poof, we're gone. So, you know, it's nice to see you all and I'm very happy that everybody's doing well.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll start a roll call vote on a motion. Actually, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Jackson. And we'll have a roll call vote beginning with Counselor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Conti,
Yes.
Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. We are adjourned at 7:53. Thank you all and be safe.
You all too.
Sorry for